Hey you, this is your friendly reminder that if you haven't seen this wonderfully delightful review I did on the series Neon Genesis Evangelion, you might want to do that before watching my review on the follow-up movie. Also, if another one of my follow-up videos gets more views than the original, I'm going to be very upset at you all. Again. Anyway, the movie The End of Evangelion was, in a nutshell, made to be a more accurate version of what the creators originally wanted to make because they ran out of money when making the final episodes of the anime. Along with, in part, to quell the rather vocal disapproval of some viewers who didn't quite like the first ending. However, instead of cutting back the elements that some people had a bit of a problem with, the movie went full force, especially with the psychological imagery. So if you're someone who wasn't quite the fan of the original anime, the movie probably won't be an enjoyable experience for you. As for myself, being someone who enjoyed the anime with the ending included, the movie was definitely an excellent addition to the franchise. To put it briefly, what really made the movie great was what made the anime great. The characters are realistic and developed, the story is excellent tension, along with a strong focus on the mindsets of the characters, and the presentation grabs the viewer's interest. So as a result, this review is going to be more focused on how well the movie pulled off the elements of the anime instead of how well the elements work. Hint hint, watch my review first. Do it. Go! First of all, the action was definitely some of the best of the series. The story was really able to raise the standards of tension that these scenes created. What really makes the action of the movie stand out is that by contrast, it never got this bad in the anime. The movie introduces a new threat that seems to guarantee the destruction of Nerve and most likely the deaths of the characters. Amplifying this even more, we have to watch a lot of Nerve being destroyed and Nerve members being massacred as we see the main characters' fear and panic as they desperately try to find a solution. In similarity to the anime, they make good use of the action to develop and push the mindsets of the characters. Asuka is definitely a great example of this, with the story taking full advantage of the already developed exploration and sympathy around her mindset and her mother to further grow her character using the action. Throughout the movie, we get to see a very strong 180-degree change on her mindset with strong emotions to give the scenes a lot of power. Because the anime gave her sympathy beforehand, it becomes extremely easy to get behind her and root for her as she crushes enemies to pieces one after another while also overcoming her psychological problems, and all with this great big smile on her face. While she's fighting, the movie shows her thoughts of her progressing mindset right in the middle of an action scene, resulting in a very original way to present the mindset of a character. In addition, this scene gives out a great sense of rooting for the underdog because of how hopeless it is from a practical sense of Asuka alone beating so many enemies. However, contrasting even more to her mental state at the beginning of the movie, she gives out a very strong sense of admirable determination. No matter how bad things might seem, she never backs down, which only amplifies a reason for the viewer to become invested in her and her struggle. To be honest, I would even mark this as one of my all-time favorite anime action scenes and definitely a highlight of the movie. The other character that has a good chunk of screen time devoted to him is Shinji, who pretty much follows the same development route as the end of the anime. With that in mind, yeah, he is extremely messed up psychologically at the start of the movie. Now, I don't mean to repeat myself, but a large number of people have found this as a good chance to hate Shinji even more. However, the movie already has justification beforehand in the extremely scarring events that Shinji was forced to go through that makes his messed up mindset feel realistic. Along with how the plot gives reasons to feel pity for him, being how the story showcases his desperation for the emotional support of others and his worsening depression and deteriorating psyche. And this mixed in with his previously given sympathy created in the original anime through his repeated self-sacrifice to fight the angels, again, my review is wonderfully delightful, strongly builds on and strengthens that sympathy and makes the viewer hope for and become invested in Shinji to overcome his struggles. Much like the anime, the movie's presentation and development of his mindset is excellent. The story heavily dives into his feelings of abandonment, need for others' approval, and his depression about how he feels he can't redeem himself and overcome his faults and failures or be of any value. With the same great presentation elements of being strong emotions and a visual representation of his mindset through abstract imagery which further fuels the viewer's investment, which ends up creating a complex development of Shinji's mind through his own questions and thoughts as he tries to mentally fight his way out of his damaged psyche. In addition, the movie showcases the thoughts and emotions of all the characters by just having them interact in these otherworldly dimensions. A really small detail I liked about this method in particular is that they never say if it's simply all in one character's head, is some type of illusion created by the angels, or a bit of both. This is not only a great way to show the viewer their mindset without trying to shove it down their throat, but since you don't need to know this information to follow the narrative, it helps grow interest in the abstract nature of the world and the unpredictable fate of the characters, as you never really know where the plot is going. As for the rest of the characters, they also have some good moments, along with the movie doing a great job at tying up their motivation in general while creating interest. So I guess if you had a problem with the fairly sudden halt of the anime, this is one thing you might come to enjoy a bit more. Rei has a conclusion to her very subtle change of her trust, which to be honest, is so subtle that I didn't really even notice that much during the anime until the movie connected the dots. Looking back at the anime, there was definitely little hints towards it through her rare emotions and sentences that expressed her questions about the world around her, most commonly through the abstract imagery. With this also playing a role in her desire to be cared about by other people to ultimately finalize her motivation and showcase the result of her psychological development throughout the anime in a way that the show wasn't able to. Shinji's father Ikari also had some great moments and a well-done conclusion to his character. The movie fully clarifies his motivation and goals foreshadowed in the show, but also does a great job at creating investment in Ikari's screen time. Much like the anime, they hold very strong with his great morality as he pursues a very sympathetic goal, but does so in an unethical, manipulative manner. Not only does this continue the trend of his character growth, interest, and complexity, but also results in the viewer feeling sorry for him that he does regret his mistakes, even though they most likely won't agree with how he tries to fix them. With the element of tragedy coming in with how the movie explores how he could have improved his life but chose not to. Taking all this into account and mixing that with some strong emotions and a glance into Ikari's mindset gives out another memorable element to the movie. Now that we're done with the characters, let's have a chat about the imagery, and if you're one of those people who thought the original anime's imagery was way out there, the movie takes it one step further. Although, in contrast to the anime, the movie seems to be leaning more on an abstract nature rather than a symbolic one. Which is not me saying that's a bad thing, since it keeps his interest in otherworldly appeal, and I would even state that the movie contains better otherworldly imagery than the series. Whether it's a giant, ghostly, almost godlike version of Rei, or the extremely trippy events and actions involving the angels, the movie will definitely leave an impact on the viewer. Every single scene of the supernatural stuff just screams creativity. I mean, just look at this and tell me if you've ever seen anything like it before. Even some of the movie's harshest critics will never say that it was forgettable in any sense of the way. If any of you are even able to sit through this movie without any emotional reaction, I will be seriously surprised. In that sense, the imagery did its job to catch the viewer's attention in what is happening. However, I do have one small nitpick, don't hurt me, with it being that they didn't do a great job at integrating the real-life scenes into the movie. Sure, like the movie, these shots do have some good and unique cinematography in their angles and presentation, although, unlike the scenes where the anime changed the animation style, these more so take you out of the movie rather than simply creating interest through contrast. I know they used a little bit of it in the ending of the anime, but that never made me think of the show, oh yeah, this is just a story, it's not real, mainly because it never had that much screen time. But what really took me out of the experience and further broke the immersion is when the movie showed multiple shots of real people, and there's even one with a guy holding a Rei plushie. You know, while he supposedly watches the Evangelion movie we are currently watching. It's important to keep this illusion going, even if we obviously know that an anime isn't real, because it keeps the brain as seeing the characters and story as real instead of fake and therefore not worth caring about. This is why third wall jokes are pretty much a taboo in any serious story and still for most people distasteful in comedies. Other than that, what really kept me from seeing this as a perfect movie was the last few minutes. With the reason being that it felt really out of place and seemed to contradict the direction of Shinji's character and a huge part of what made him well written. Which is what really made the ending to the original anime and Shinji's character so great, is because the viewers made not just to feel sorry for Shinji, but also to root for him to overcome his psychological problems and grow out of them. He is very much a character that gets his strengths from his progression throughout the story. So it really felt like a slap in the face when the very last scene seemed to express that he's just as damaged psychologically as the beginning of the movie. This is made especially jarring after he just previously went through a scene that showed him beginning to overcome his mental damages. Now don't get me wrong, this one scene did not kill the movie. While I do feel that it's a problem considering it's the last breath of the movie, the rest of it is Evangelion at its best. The way the movie presents the action and story is intense, gripping, and drama-filled. Asuka has an extremely contrasting and likable development mixed with a great action scene that makes you want to stand behind her every step of the way. Shinji, for the most part, has a lot of great development and focus on his mindset with his already grown likability, creates investment in what happens to him. Along with some great scenes that cleverly tie together already well-written characters and some of the most impactful imagery that perfectly presents the mindsets of the characters and overall interest in the movie's presentation. If you weren't quite the fan of the original anime, I don't think this movie will be quite up your alley, but if you loved the anime and haven't seen this movie, that's a really strange thing to do, and I'm seriously concerned about you. Hey there, little person, you ready for the end slate? I'm sure you are, or you better be. You know what I'm pretty mostly sure that you like? How about some reviews? I hope I don't have to recommend Neon Genesis Evangelion, my anime review, to you at this point. But maybe, if you're someone who's really that stubborn, I mean lovable, but if you're a good little lad, I guess I might recommend my review of The K Project and The Seraph of the End, Vampire Reign. 2 reviews for your face. Enjoy them. And if you're one of those people who care, or going to ask, or interested, or maybe bored, I am probably going to review the Rebuild movies. At some point. Most likely. But you know, it might get a little repetitive for some people if I just upload video after video on the Evangelion franchise. I mean, yeah, I know, shut up. Well, I like that one, okay? So, back off. I like this one too, but you just, Well, besides, there's a lot of other things that I have to do as second reviews, you know, whatever. There's like the Attack on Titan thing, I hear that's gonna come out someday, eventually, before I die, most likely. Then there's the Hetalia, I'm pretty sure I promised more of that. And then let's see if we go up the Ruby. Yeah, gotta do that. There's this 3rd season that came out. Yep, And I heard Sanakano is getting a 2nd season, and there's more K-Project stuff, because I really want to do more of, no I don't, but hey, there's also Seraph of the End. Another season, so many seasons. I'm never gonna watch anything new again, okay? Just go away, bye, go, leave.
I remember when I lost my